Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about being a junior alone and not wanting to switch your job. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I am a junior level developer and I'm wondering how I'm supposed to be able to learn how to write good software if I'm working completely alone. And the short answer is you have to fail a lot over and over and over by reading articles and things of that nature and applying it almost every time blindly and looking at what the results are. Let me explain. So the question in question here was a little bit of a story. So this person was reaching out this exact morning actually and stated that he had been working at this startup for quite some time now and he didn't really want to switch his jobs, and basically he's been working completely alone for the longest time. He doesn't have a team or anything like that, and he has more or less arrived to the conclusion that everything that he makes is absolutely horrible. He realized that he feels like he lacks a basic understanding of object-oriented programming, and he's working in Node.js these days and trying to apply TypeScript, things of this nature, and he struggles with just producing even basic stuff, at least from his perspective. So for him to ask the question, how do I fix this without switching my job, that leaves me in really only the position where I can give you that answer. I was saying that if you're not open to finding a work environment where you have more experienced developers teaching you the ropes, then you are the only person left. Now he was asking about competitive programming, he was asking about tutorials, he was asking about all these things, and I can just tell you this right here, right now, guys. It doesn't matter if it's competitive programming, it doesn't matter if it's tutorials, it doesn't matter what you do, because everything that you do is going to be a journey of discovery. And this is the thing that is very key to understand here. Guys, every single programmer goes through this. All of us. Every single one of us. Anyone who wants to be a programmer has to go through this journey of discovery. And it is a journey that can be very quick and it can take years to get anywhere. And some people get lost on the way and never really learn all of the secrets of the industry, let's call it that. I like that. That sounds mysterious. Yes, the secrets of the industry. And where you end up comes down to the paths that you choose. And of course, a bit of personal aptitude as well in many cases. But the thing is that this journey of discovery, I think it's a very good analogy, because the only way that you can get from point A to point B is to walk the walk. You have to actually go through it, and you may have different paths to take, and this is where some type of guide or something like that can help you, where someone who has already walked the paths that you're going to walk can tell you that, okay, this is a good investment, because if you go down this route, you're going to discover these things, and if you go down that route, you're going to have things blow up in your face. These sorts of people, the seniors or the more experienced programmers, this is why they are invaluable. It's not just because they're not going to teach you like magical tricks that you couldn't figure out yourself. It's just that they're going to save you a ton of time. Sometimes they might actually just point you in a direction where you didn't even think about that this was an option, because you couldn't see it or you didn't see that path. And this is the thing, like without that, it's going to come down to the thing I was saying. The only thing you can do is to do the thing that every single junior does, well, more or less at least, which is to read articles and to study and to learn as you kind of go along. And your code is going to suck. Everybody writes code that sucks. You, my friend, you're no exception, and I'm certainly not an exception. I write shitty code on a daily basis, just as everybody else. It's just that after doing it for long enough, more and more people will consider the shitty code that you write to be less shitty and actually functioning and working. But it never really stops. It's just that you practice until it actually becomes a decent code. And for you, if that is if this job, I really would urge you to ask yourself that question: is this job really that important? Maybe it is the best place in the world to work, but like I understand if there are benefits, I understand if there are nice coworkers and things of this nature, but I really urge you to ask yourself this question. Are you where you're supposed to be? Because at the end of the day, dude, you may not feel like this in the beginning of things because everybody thinks that their first job is going to be, I mean, it's special. It is special to have your first programming job, or it might be. And you might be in a situation where you think that, oh, this is where I'm going to be. This is like all these people here, they really care about me, and like I'm doing my best for them and so forth. And nothing's ever going to change. But that's just not reality, dude. You should embrace change. It's much more healthy for you to think about what's right for your career. What's going to make you a strong programmer? Because I can promise you this, unless you are in a situation where you really, really will be happy from working in the exact same company for the rest of your career, which is, it may not, I'm just going to be honest here, it may not feel that way today, but it might feel like that way in 10 years. One of the quickest ways for you to lose your long-term market value is to get complacent, to be a little bit too comfortable in a job or something like that, just because it's easy. And it's not bad to stick by a job. It just has to really provide that thing that I've been pushing so many times, and that is the experience that leads to market value, so that you can actually go on to do newer and better things. You can think of it as a computer game where like you will level up at some point, and depending on where you grind or depending on where you gather experience points, you're going to progress in different levels or at a different rate. And that's the key thing here, that if you want to ever get to a point where you actually can go on to do newer and better things, maybe you are the sort of person who really doesn't care and you just want to stay in the same position for 30 years or whatever, then that's fine. But I will tell, just please hear me out when I say that I have enough friends who jumped on the first possible thing they could find very early when they were in their basically just in their 20s, like early 20s. And they are suffering now that they're in their 30s because they have no prospects, nobody wants to hire them, and they're pretty much stuck working for the same large corporation forever because they simply didn't develop themselves to a point where they could be a little bit more flexible and their market value was really high. And today they have acquired a standard of living that they don't want to compromise on. So they're miserable because they don't want to go down in salary, but at the same time they're not happy with that they can't switch jobs or do something else. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you are a junior developer working completely alone, then the only thing you can do is to do your best to read relevant content, blogs, things of this nature, trying to find a mentor, someone who can help you. Like, I'm going to be honest, it's not that likely that you're going to find a decent mentor who's just going to sit there and code review for you. But if you can, that is very useful. And all of these things that you're going to go through, these things would be the same journey more or less, but if you have a more senior experience or more experienced programmer next to you who can point you in the right direction, it will just save you a lot of time. That's what knowledge is. That's what the older generation has to offer to the younger generation. A shortcut, a good shortcut, because they've already gone down the routes that you're going to go down. Or they might actually just show you the ones that they've found and then you find your own. It's just a set time saver, right? And if you're in a situation where you emotionally feel that, oh no, I want to stick with this company, really ask yourself this question. Are you making this decision because it's the right thing for you long term, or are you making it because it feels safe? Because if you make that decision because it feels safe and no other reason, then you are allowing your own fear to control your future. So be careful with that, because it might work out for you, but you might also find out that when you're older, this is really, you're no longer feeling the same way. And then you might be in a situation where it's going to be tricky for you to get to a new level of personal development. Have a great day.